We're a dental laboratory. When you have dental work done for crown and bridge work or implantology, that doctor takes an impression, which I think a lot of people might be familiar with either a traditional impression or a digital intraoral scan that comes to us, and then we essentially make teeth. We currently work with about 150 doctors, and they're from mostly local, but we have a nice pocket of business throughout the Northeast. All kinds of different dentists. Most of them are cosmetically driven, where they're changing people's lives with their smiles. That's part of the thing that we share with doctors, is that our work will change your patients' lives. And anything implant supported. So a little bit higher on the end of dentistry, so to speak, but if it's an implant case, it should come to us. So there's two ways a doctor sends us work, and that's local and out of the area, out of the state. One is a traditional impression, where you have a tray, and then you have impression material that you bite into. The doctor sends that, we take that, pour an actual model, and then we scan it. So we take that analog, we turn it into digital, and then we create everything digitally. The other way is an intraoral scan, where the doctor essentially has a wand, he scans in your mouth, we skip that step, and then we get that sent to us digitally, and then we actually 3D print a model. So we design everything digitally, and then once we finish that crown, we fit that to that 3D model from the scan. There's 16 people here, and one of the things that makes this industry a little bit unique is that a lot of different type of people can do this business. For example, my implant guy was a woodworker. My ceramic people, the people that actually stack porcelain onto metal, called a PFM, you mentioned materials, those people were typically artists. My digital design people, one of them was a ceramist, but is also a graphic artist, kind of knows his way around a mouse and a keyboard. So we like to say we took brush lickers and turned them into mouse clickers. Our metal finishers, they worked with metal on an assembly line with fit and finish, and now they work with metal that's in teeth. People that had nothing to do with teeth ever can translate, or transition, I think is probably a better word, what their skill set is into this business. Most of our work is done on what's called zirconia. It's a metal-free restoration. It gets scanned, designed, and then milled, and then sintered. And then you have a tooth that's almost ready to go. There's a fit and finish and polish, stain and glaze and characterize at the end, and we give you a beautiful tooth. Our niche in the market is cosmetic dentistry. So what we say is, when it matters most, trust Gardali. The other thing is digitally designed and artisan perfected. So in anything on the implant side, is it all vanity? No. We do some full mouth reconstructions because people don't have teeth. We do a lot of single molar reconstructions because people need to eat. But we certainly do a lot of work that is cosmetic or vanity, as you said. Dentures are not a thing of the past. They're still here. There's still a place for them. There's a lot of clinical situations where a denture is the best option. Dentures don't look like they used to either. If we did a denture with a patient and I showed you that patient, you wouldn't know they had a denture in their mouth. Implant-supported dentures is more relatively new. I'd say you're going back almost probably 20 years, but it's more relevant now than it's ever been, where instead of a denture that is sitting on tissue and held in place with Fix-A-Dent, it is now actually secured to an implant support bar, or there's some instances where you have what are called locators. But either way, that's an implant supported denture. So dentures are still here. The acrylic in the teeth look better than they ever have, and they're produced differently too now. They can actually be milled, 3D resin printed. There's a lot of ways that we can make a denture. They look great, they fit fantastic, they're not going anywhere. So there's been an age-old rumor for several hundred years now that George Washington had wooden teeth. He did not. They were actually made of ivory. And that's actually a little question. Sometimes we'll ask people that come in here, what were George Washington's teeth made of? And they all say wood, and then they're wrong.
At first glance, Gardali Labs is something you wouldn't expect just driving downtown and looking at the buildings that exist. You walk through a tour and you realize that you have in this office building a completely high-tech, locally owned and operated business creating restorative implants for dental procedures. And it's absolutely incredible. Not just the people who work there, the technology that exists in the building, everything from 3D printing to actual artists matching colors by hand and painting these implants. So it's really just a phenomenal industry, and it's another one of those hidden gems. You just don't see it because you're just driving by a building. You go through it and you're like, wow, this is happening in Utica. Gardali was just purchased by Paul Intino, and in Utica we have a lot to smile about, and what they're doing best is keeping those smiles bright.
There are a few things that we just don't do. I can tell you we don't lie about materials. A doctor can come in here at any time and he can look at our inventory of materials that we're using. We don't use inferior products. We don't use anything that you can buy online from some obscure vendor. Everything is bought from a dental manufacturer. That is critical. We don't send any work offshore. There are labs that do send work offshore. Most of that is China. It is a lower fee product. We don't do any of that. Everything that comes here is done here, and we don't negotiate fees. We don't need to do that. We do great work here. If a doctor wants beautiful work, he wants a high level of communication, because we understand dentistry here, they'll pay for it. And there is no negotiation of fees. So actually, even at our website, I have a list of all the stuff we don't do, which is kind of the opposite of most labs will tell you. Labs like to tell you all the wonderful things they do.